No, we're not getting sound in the microphone because it was on mute.
Okay, just checking. Yeah, that'd be important. People are sitting there going, well, that's really nice background music.
Yep.
Are these two schmucks actually going to let us hear what they're talking about? No, they're secret plans. Fucking deal
Well,
with it.
at least mic sound is working.
Yeah, okay.
Oh my god, Dave!
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on?
I wish I knew, but here we are in the same space, occupying a little bit of time, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and...
You know.
Yeah. By the way, I'd like to point out that today's show is brought to you by, and they're not paying us for this, I'm just saying it, Schloss Eggenberg. This is a beer that tastes like 7-Up. I am not even kidding.
It's tasty and delicious.
It's tasty, delicious, and probably lethal, because...
It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
So we've been not doing our Friday show, the party for Prosperity and Supervillainy, for like a month now.
Yeah, we had to take a break.
August was verkackt, to say the least. And there are a number of reasons for that. Partially work for you, and just schedule being super duper cray cray. And me, it was the last month at my job. I'm officially laid off now.
Congratulations!
Yay! It's not a terrible thing, because I needed to leave anyway. It just sucks that it had to happen that way. And I'd be lying if I said that I wouldn't miss it at all. Because I did like the people that I worked with. Well, I do. I didn't stop liking them just because we don't work together.
I left work now, fuck y'all.
I'm done.
Forget it, not dealing with anyone.
About my boss? Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
very much feel that way. But I will still continue to refer to myself as a cobbler.
Yes.
For the rest of my days, even if I am not actively cobbling. And I'm fine with that.
I can just kind of picture the moment when you're walking up on stage to accept a Tony Award, and they will say, Madhat Katt, cobbler.
Wouldn't it be great if someday I got to play the role of a cobbler in a TV show, a film, cartoon?
There we go.
I would take any of those. Like if someone ever decides to do another cut of The Thief and the Cobbler, I would love to play the cobbler. I feel like I can, go to bat up against Matthew Broderick on that front.
Actually, the one that
you
I was thinking
forward
of...
a little bit.
Okay, the one that I was thinking
just so I can
of
hear you a little bit better.
I was going back and rewatching videos on TV shows of the 60s and 70s that involved secret agents and supervillains and stuff. And The Man from U.N.C.L.E. had their introduction where they came walking in through, I think it was like a dry cleaning or a tailor shop. So I think that a supervillain show should have Madhat Katt, the cobbler, and their shop. And then, walking into the back, and then, that's where the rows of, minions and nuclear weapons are.
Yes.
Just got nuclear weapons hanging out because that's what you do. I mean,
technically speaking, I feel like aren't nuclear weapons technically green?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're rebuilding the environment from the ground up if we do it properly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you all have seen what happens when someone's front or backyard has just gone without any kind of maintenance for long enough. Everything starts to overgrow. It will push greenery will push away rocks.
Yes.
And I can attest to this because there are some horrible, creepy vines that are infesting the backyard right now. They do have these really, very aesthetically pleasing, kind of bright orange, burnt orange and red kind of. I think they call them trumpet blooms.
Oh.
I don't actually know what the name of it is, but this is some sort of wild plant that most people would refer to as a weed. I just think of it as a very invasive plant that just gets into everything.
Well, this is the perfect opportunity for you to pitch the idea of a flamethrower for your birthday or the holidays. Now, accidents can happen with one.
I already got my birthday present this year. I don't know if you saw it on the way in. Jake grabbed me the one of the expansions for Disney Villainous.
Oh, nice.
Which we get to play last night, by the way. If y'all are on the Discord, you can see the pictures in the board game channel server. I can never remember which one is technically the correct term. I want to say channel. Like,
Yeah.
you have the server, which is the big thing, and then you have the channels, which are like the little rooms inside your server house.
Is it like Madhat Chan or Cat Chan or
Cat Chan? No, it's I named the server Mad Hat's Nook Under the Stairs. For a number of reasons, partially because I've always been a person who likes to hide myself in small spaces.
Mm-hmm.
But then also when I was in high school, that was like my friend group's place. If you've ever gone down to, I don't know if you've ever even been in L'Académie, but
no, I pass by it on work every day, but no. Walking in there for me would seem a bit odd, I think. You know.
I walk in, no one bats an eye.
Yeah.
I don't look like I'm 18. I don't think. But I am very small, so if people see me from a distance away and I happen to be wearing my old skirt, which I still wear, it's a very attractive red plaid.
Oh.
But anyway, on the ground floor, you've got these stairs that come down from the first floor, and then underneath that stairs is this fabulous little nook. And there were a couple of couches back there. There was a table where, we could study if we so chose, which was not very often.
Not very often.
And oh god, it was just the best. I love putting myself into small spaces. I'm the opposite of a claustrophobic person. I'm a claustrophilic person.
Oh, all right.
Anywho, so what I am hoping for this coming month,
Yes.
is that we can get back on track, because I think we were up to, what, like 14?
Somewhere in there.
15, 16 episodes?
Let's see.
I'm gonna check, because I can. Videos? We were up to... Tell me your full name. It shall not.
Nope. Actually, just put the cursor right between the two down. Okay.
Oh no, I can see it in the thumbnail. Number 17. We
Oh,
were
okay.
we were on number 17, so we were doing pretty well.
And then life happened.
And then life happened.
Everybody's like, get a life, and I'm like, every time I've tried to do that,
Every
disaster
time.
follows within moments.
But yeah, I have OBS somewhat working now, so I'm pretty sure that with a little bit more tinkering around, I will just have to badger you and you badger me to badger you.
Right.
So you can come over. We can set things up. I don't think we necessarily need to do it in the same room, because I know it's probably a lot more convenient for you to be able to do it from the comfort of your home.
Yes.
But I feel like we should be able to just get it up and running, and just running it through OBS rather than relying on an external
Yeah. Because then
simultaneous streaming service, at least for the moment.
Because then we could hit 2 or 3 different places at once and
Yeah.
expand the global reach.
I have been hesitant to look back into Twitch, because I know that is a place where people, just go to like chill out and talk, and it's not just watching people play games or make crafts
or whatever, yeah.
make food.
I have friends of mine
I'm
who
sure
do
there's
DJ sets
tons
on
of
there.
different things.
Yeah.
I just realized I could share this in the Discord. Beep beep. This is another thing that I have to
Keep a close eye on.
get together. Is I have to get a shock mount for my mic, because every time I'm typing, or if like a cord brushes against the desk, I know it's being picked up by that, and it's driving me absolutely insane.
Yeah. They're relatively cheap over at Guitar Center, so.
That's good to know. New feature. Well, hey, thanks.
Wow, a new feature? For us? Thank you so much.
Say hello to Threads.
Your death will be quick and painless. Oh, wait, yeah.
Hey, everyone. I feel like I abuse the at everyone tag on Discord a lot. I don't know if people mind it or not.
If you do, feel free not to tell us, because it's not going to stop them at all, so, you know.
Alright, well, there's that.
We're doing that thing.
Back to the thing.
But
Is there anything that you want to talk about this upcoming month, be it prosperity related or popcorn related?
let me see.
Because I still like that format of us going back and forth every week. Although I suppose we could kind of merge the original idea of like the sandwich technique of like starting with a positive thing, talking about the, you know, more uncomfortable thing, and then ending on a positive note.
Something.
I don't know. I think for the moment I'd like to stick with prosperity popcorn.
See, for popcorn, I've been going back and forth. There's been a few channels on YouTube that I've been watching that have gone into histories of things like Secret Agent TV series and stuff like that. When that became a thing, when it became kind of a thing in the '60s, everybody was doing their best to have their own James Bond clone on television, or also the films. And part of me just thinks it would be kind of fun to sit around and talk about that entire oeuvre, as it were. We're also at the same time talking about how you could possibly translate that whole thing from the other perspective, from the villain perspective, looking at these conformist, sexist, oftentimes racist agents who are trying to keep the order in place, and how it is that we're really just trying to liberate the world and are completely and utterly misunderstood in this context.
I know, I love that thing.
That's my theory, and I'm sticking with it anyway. And in a similar vein, for another popcorn thing, talking about the notion of like shock culture, whether it be anything from Dadaist art to glam rock to visual K, where the entire idea was to sit there and just shock the living shit out of everybody and make the culture kind of aware that you exist, whether they wanted to be aware of it or not.
Well, and I love that you put it like that, because when most people hear the term shock culture or I don't know, shock art, what did they call wow, I cannot remember his name. Radio jockey.
Howard Stern.
Howard Stern. See, I thought it was Howard. Yeah, Howard Stern. People, referred to him as a shock jockey.
Yeah.
So I think when most people hear like shock, they think more like lowbrow.
Yeah.
As opposed to like art. Not that there can't be lowbrow art, and I think sometimes that's kind of the point.
I think that's kind of a combination of the two, but that's also where like the most interesting scenes happen, because like the New York glam rock scene, which would eventually become the New York punk scene, which would eventually give us everything from like goth rock to post-punk to all of these other things, started off as basically a bunch of people deciding, look, we can't get a whole lot of attention as it is right now, so they went to old used clothing stores and started buying strange odd bits of clothing and like just appearing in the most strange and radical way, and then eventually somebody decreed it as art. And I think that
¿Por qué no?
Yeah. And I think that there's something to be said for the idea that art and culture are almost always a bottom-up kind of thing. But it's not something that can be opposed.
Which is like completely the opposite of how so many people think of it. I mean, I could understand how like maybe it kind of used to be that way, at least with like live performance type of art, as in like opera, ballet, theater, although theater was usually looked at as like tacky.
Yeah.
It's entertainment for the masses.
Yes.
Um,
You'd laugh at a Shakespeare comedy. Yeah, I would.
You plebe. But well, and even now, like it's kind of simultaneous, at least in the United States. I love that in Natalie Wynn's video Opulence, she brings up that idea of upward mobility of culture and slang.
Yes.
And aesthetic, and that to this date, that's still one of my favorites of hers. But then at the same time, it's also still that, top down stuff, like only if it's very exclusive and very like just drenched in money.
Actually, the fun part for me is I'm thinking of there's a really
Is
great.
it really odd?
Yes. There's a really great documentary on Jean-Michel Basquiat, artist probably most famous for his work in the 80s, who unfortunately died very, very young. But Basquiat started off as a graffiti artist with a concept of he would start writing these bits and pieces of graffiti under the name Semo, and would write out these very odd, strange pieces, and it got people's attention. Roughly about the same time that, again, the New York punk scene and the New York hip-hop scene started happening almost simultaneously. And he was kind of a bridge between both of those respective worlds. And when you look at what Basquiat did as a graffiti artist, it led into his work as what would eventually become him known as a fine artist.
Yeah.
Because now, literally, if Jean-Michel Basquiat goes on sale, just count on the fact it's going to go for millions and millions of dollars. But in a sense, that to me is an element of the way that art can kind of capture a moment and capture a sense of the energy of that particular time.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I went to a opening where Jean-Michel Basquiat was present. And not like we were friends or anything. I was mostly just hanging around going, wow, you're so cool. And I think I kind of freaked him out. But I also remember another artist I'd seen 2 weeks prior who completely underwhelmed me by the name of Mark Kostabi, who I was just like, nothing there is
not for you.
It just wasn't working for me. And I don't hear nearly as much about his work as I do, say, about Basquiat's or Julian Schnabel, who's since gone on, aside from being a painter, has now gone on to be a film director and such. And I think that there is a place, one of the things that art needs and culture needs from time to time is to be re-energized. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you can re-energize it by regurgitating the stuff that that is the high art of today. Today's low art is, in 20 years, going to be tomorrow's high art.
That's how it goes, man.
And if you look at it, when, I'm old enough to remember when hip-hop we looked at it as kind of a curiosity when it first happened. Everybody kind of thought of it as kind of almost a prank thing. And now it's become a culturally dominating force.
Yeah.
Because it allows
even in non-hip-hop music, there is still influence just all over the place as far as rhythm of lyrics. Mm-hmm.
It's completely...
whatever beat you're laying down
the production,
to underscore everything.
Yeah, the production method itself is completely rearranged how it is we do pop music.
Yeah.
And it's not even in English-speaking countries. I mean, as big as hip-hop is in the United States, it is way, way bigger in Korea.
Oh, yeah.
B-boy culture couldn't be any bigger out there. And
if it did, I'm pretty sure the world would just, spontaneously combust.
Yeah.
Well, not spontaneously. It had an impetus. It was the B-boys.
Yeah.
The B-boys set the world on fire.
But I think that
the Jesuits would be so happy.
Yes.
Wait, that's not what they meant.
But I think the element of something that comes along and at first you view it as a curiosity and you kind of miss the fact that what it's really doing is giving a group of people of a particular time in a particular place a chance to actually have their voice heard. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, and now we can even translate that into YouTube and TikTok culture.
Yeah.
I mean, take a look at Natalie Wynn, or Abigail Thorne, or H. Bomber Guy. These are all people who have really interesting and intriguing things to say that probably wouldn't be heard if it wasn't for the democratization of the ability to get your name out there.
Yeah. Well, and they're there are all kinds of additional conversations that have been going on and are going on right now, or have been going on for a while and are continuing to happen right now, as far as, you know, like how do you separate the good stuff from the bad stuff, or like, do you even have a chance of finding something that's of a high quality, that resonates with you, that's you know, well done, high production value, or at the very least, you know, a lot of effort has been put into the production, even if the sound is maybe not the crispest in the world, or crispest. That's a hard word to say. Or if, you know, you only have one depth of focus. You only have one layer of focus in a shot.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, with this camera, unless I get really fucking clever with some
filtering,
with some other software, where I think it's possible to adjust that GoPro if you have some outside software that basically forces it to focus on one thing rather than the wide field of it. I know that I can do it with my Note 10 Plus, thanks to an app called Open Camera. I haven't done a whole lot of monkeying around with that. The next time I get a new phone, although honestly I should just bring down my Note 5 as well and use that as a secondary camera. Because even on the Note 5, the camera is still spectacular. I really love the camera on this, and I would love to monkey around with it more through Open Camera so that I could try and, you know, get things to look a little more profesh. I
just have this
I would
image,
like
though,
that
of,
for me.
of us being here shooting, and all of a sudden you deciding, yeah, you know what, I'm kind of done with you for the time being, Doc, so...
Focusing back on me.
Yeah,
literally,
there's
with the camera.
There's just this kind of bald sort of blur in the back. Nobody has any idea what's going on.
This soft focus... I don't know why, but the eyes look like they're on fire. Can soft, out of focus, amorphous shapes have eyes? They do now.
But the idea of, you know, who were culture villains, and who brought things
Culture
out?
villains.
Well, I mean,
Yay.
it could be
I
anything.
love that.
It could be anything from like Vivaldi to Elvis Presley to Jean-Michel Basquiat to Owsley Stanley, the guy who made the highest grade LSD in San Francisco, but is also and still is one of the best sound engineers in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he's had a dual impact in terms of how culture works first in the substances that he made, but then also in doing things like inventing what would become the modern concert sound setup.
Yeah.
Where he realized, hey, if we set up towers on delay, we can get sound all across a venue the size of a baseball stadium. But at the time, you know...
Hats off to audio engineers all around the world, because there's a lot that goes into that.
It is 2 parts science and 1 part magic, along with 1 part, I don't know.
Just get out of it.
Yeah, make the damn thing work. You have absolute legends like George Martin, who could sit there and make Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band on a 4-track recording system. You know. But the idea of people who at the time were kind of viewed in a villainous sort of way, who would go on to have massive impacts on the culture. You know, hell, The Clash would be a good example of that as well. You know, came out flat out punk rock band, definitely on the left side of the political spectrum. Now they're pretty much revered as being one of the all-time great rock bands and also one of the great kind of like street poet groups of all time.
Voice.
Yeah.
See, my mind is just buzzing now with this idea of shock art, but in like a positive sense, and culture villains and art villains. I like that very much, and I'm sure sometime when we talk about that, I will talk about Georges Seurat. Georges Seurat, pointillism. Does that sound right? Yeah. The musical that Stephen Sondheim wrote, that's very loosely based on his life, called Sunday in the Park with George. He very much has that vibe of, you know, like, everyone is looking down on him and saying, like, his work is very pedestrian, and he's basically wasting his time, A, painting subjects that nobody gives a fuck about, B, his style is not, it's a low style as opposed to a high style.
Well, didn't Degas also go through the same, and a lot of his contemporaries went through it as well.
Well, and I mean, that seems to happen so much, though, no matter what medium you're working with, as far as art goes. Like, you've got the standard, and, you know, back in those days, it was,
oh, before I forget, hi, Richard. Sorry.
How's it going, Rick? I'm trying to think of what the standard would have been. It would have been mostly focusing on realism with, like, there was impressionism through there, but I think that was still more, like, just rendering things kind of out of focus, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, it's everything is still very clear and in line with real world proportions. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not like Pablo Picasso or German Expressionism, which just goes
and to the four winds it goes.
Depth of field, 3 dimensions. No, we're gonna add more.
Yeah.
Why? Because
we can.
Because I feel that 5th dimension in the dark pit of my soul. Sometime, I don't know if it would be part of that art villains segment or whatever, just talking about, like, German Expressionism in film. There are a number of them that, like, would be instantly recognizable by people even if they didn't know the name, like Nosferatu, Metropolis.
Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Yes.
That one is probably, if you want to talk about the example of it.
Yeah.
Actually, we might actually, for that one, might want to drag a friend of mine by the name of Matt Leahy, and he teaches art at a school in Kansas, and he is also, aside from being an artist himself, he is a massive fan of that whole style. Like, Caligari is probably his favorite piece of work. Samesies. Oh, Escher, yes.
Yes, very, very art villain. I heard a tapping at the door.
Oh, it was someone walking up the stairs. I think it was someone walking up the stairs.
Oh, that's entirely possible. Never mind.
Yeah, so if people want to hear us prattle on about art and art villains, we're all up about that.
Yeah.
Also,
I think that would make for a good 2-parter.
Oh yeah.
Like, as far as, like, on the prosperity side of things and on the popcorn side of things. Like, on the popcorn side of things is like, look at it, it's also Birdie. Nom, 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 nom. And it's also cool. Oh.
On the prosperity side, I mean,
and then on the prosperity side, you know, the equity of art. Who does it belong to? Once you put it out into the world, does it belong to you anymore?
But also, I think another one would be good for the prosperity or the popcorn one. Thinking about it, would be the original run of what would be the industrial artists.
Because I don't necessarily need it. Because I'm not listening to any audio, else. So it really doesn't matter.
Because some of the original industrial groups, whether they were Throbbing Gristle or Cabaret Voltaire, because we're going to talk about the two groups that kind of kicked off what will become the style that we think of now as both music and also a art style of industrial. Those would be the ones. And prior to Throbbing Gristle, the members of that were part of a group called Combe Transmissions that were definitely the art villains of their day until they decided that they were getting a little bit too popular and too much into the public eye. So they went, look up a thing on their show. They did a show called Prostitution that is
And what was the name again?
COUM Transmissions.
COUM Transmissions.
Automatic Transmission Pros, that's not what I wanted.
Thanks, Google Ads. Not what I was looking for.
And also, one of the members of the group who would go on to be a member of Throbbing Gristle, Cozy Fanny Tootie, worked as excuse me, I had a brain moments ago. She was a sex worker, both as a stripper and worked in adult films and such.
Mm-hmm.
But she was mostly, from her perspective, aside from the fact that she wanted to show off her own sexuality, she also was talking about the impact of wanting to understand what it was like to live in that world, where at that point, especially in the 1970s, saying that you were interested in what it was that sex workers did kind of marked you as being, we're far, as much as we're closed-minded about it now, it was way more closed-minded then.
Oh no, believe me, I have my own little insight into that from when I was in massage school for 2 months or however long it was before I got kicked out. I really need to do do a
thing on that.
Well, I want to do something similar to the story of the time my entire 8th grade class cheated on the periodic table of elements test. But do it with how I got kicked out of massage school. I think maybe I've done that at Samurai of Spoken Word once.
Yeah.
But that's a good story. But part of the reason that I was even in that situation at all with it was the head of the school, who just had lots of problems with me. But I think a large part of the reason that I made her so nervous and uncomfortable in general is because I had been open about the fact that I was a burlesque performer. And I don't have, most of the time I don't have a very guarded demeanor. I know this because people have told me that when they first met me, they thought that I was haughty. I'm like, no, I just wasn't talkative that day, and I was more observing and knowing how I fit into the situation kind of thing. But yeah, she talked a lot about, coming into the industry of massage in the 70s, when masseuring was still synonymous with sex work.
Yeah. And
sex work was looked down upon. Heavily utilized.
Yeah.
And then publicly looked down upon. It's what we call bullshit, children. Yeah. Bullshit.
The level of hypocrisy that we have on those, that would be another one to actually take a look at, because it's maybe further down the line into September, October, but
yeah.
Part of another fun one to sit around and talk about would be people who have been, who have kind of brought sex work out from where, or been a bit more public about it, or I don't know, I wouldn't say legitimized, but kind of destigmatized at least parts of it.
Yeah. There is at least, a few percentage points knocked off. Dave says hi, just in case you couldn't hear.
Yeah.
A few percentage points knocked off the disgust and pity columns as far as sex work goes in the public eye, and because it's not just the looking down your nose at sex workers kind of thing. It's also the infantilization of the people who are doing the work. And to be fair, many people are in the in sex work professions because they have had things go very wrong in their life, because they were kicked out, they've got a drug habit. It happens. And then there are people who are in it because they like the money.
Yeah.
And then there are people who are in it because they like the money and they enjoy doing it.
Right.
And it's not a clear-cut thing. It's shades of gray. It's a spectrum as far as why people got into it in the first place and how they feel about it in general, and then how they feel about them doing it personally. But turning into, oh, just you poor souls, like, As long as they're adults, you don't necessarily need to immediately jump to, oh, bless your heart.
It's kind of a default setting.
If they're children, yes, 100%. Get them the fuck out of there right now.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
But I think that it's become the I'm trying to show empathy default setting in our society when we talk about sex work.
Yeah. What's the default just like the general default empathy setting in our society, do you think?
Default general empathy? Oh, that's bad. Tell me more. Yeah.
We like watching train crashes. Car crashes, train wrecks.
Train wrecks, car
One
crashes.
Of those. Both of those.
Planes
at the same time?
Planes. Oh, hey, bonus points there. Plus, hey, if a jet falls right into the middle of it, hey, now we've got a real mess.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
All meeting in the worst possible.
Crashing.
Okay, so now we have to arrange for that sort of accident to happen as a villainous sort of exercise.
With no people around.
No,
and no people on board. It's gonna have to be a drone piloted plane.
No.
It's gonna have to be a train that's not transporting any hazardous materials.
Well,
it's gonna have to be a car that
Can I at least strap one person I don't like inside of one of them?
We'll have to look into the legality of that. We'll have to talk to our team of lawyers.
Okay.
Because we have one of those.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine who's an attorney in Las Vegas, which is now a running gag, because anytime I say, hey, I'm thinking about coming out to Las Vegas, he's like, if you show up in a 1972 red and white Cadillac with like a sun visor on and a bottle of ether.
It's fine.
For those of you who don't know that particular reference, we'll be getting around to reviewing that film sometime on the Lost Buds.
Nice.
Also, Fear Building in Las Vegas. The film is really good and a very good translation of the book, but the book is fucking amazing.
I'm excited for that because I don't know that I've ever actually seen it at all or in its entirety. Definitely not. And as a side note, what's the one that's coming this weekend? The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah, the review that's coming up this weekend is The Thing.
That's going to be released.
And then the review we're doing for the week after that is
Buckaroo Banzai.
Banzai, yeah.
And it has the extremely long title that I can never quite remember. I may have said this earlier, but my dumb brain mixed up Hudson Hawk and Buckaroo Banzai. So I got really, really excited when whoever it was said we're watching Buckaroo Banzai, and I'm like, ooh, Bruce Willis! And then I was like, wait, no, that's not right.
No, it stars Dr. Peter Weller, and
I've seen both movies, I know, but for whatever reason, I think my brain just really wants to watch Hudson Hawk right now. Have you guys done that?
I don't think we've done that one yet. I also love the looking
Maybe
at the
I should suggest Hudson Hawk.
The 1982 thing, Richard, the good one. But also I love the casting in Buckaroo Banzai because, John Lithgow and Peter Weller.
I love me some Lithgow.
And Clancy Brown, as a good guy for once. Jeff Goldblum, Dan Hedaya, so many just great. Oh, Christopher Lloyd.
Everybody in there.
It is just an all-time epic classic.
You playing Overcooked?
Something.
No, it's Ticket to Ride. That's what's going on. You guys can probably hear the music.
Yep.
You're fine. We're almost done. It's John Carpenter's 1982 The Thing.
Yep.
And that's one of the ones that I'm like aware of it in the general global consciousness, but before last weekend, I had never actually seen it before. I don't even think that I had seen parts of it. I was just kind of aware of the general plot of it. This is another story for another time. You guys may have seen me mention something on the Discord about another Discord that was horror focused.
Oh god.
That turned out not to be great.
We're gonna make our own with blackjack and hookers. Well, maybe just hookers.
That's Dave's answer for everything. Like, this thing sucks. We're gonna make our own. Blackjack and hookers.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. Oh, and whiskey.
And whiskey. Of course,
Yes.
whiskey. Yes.
Gotta
and
have
beer
it.
that tastes like 7-Up.
And beer that tastes like 7-Up.
Yes. But thinking of, somebody mentioned that Lithgow was great in Third Rock, which he was. He was also, if you've not seen the 4th season of Dexter, he was terrifying. Legitimately scary as shit.
I maybe didn't ever get to the 4th season of that. I know I was watching it like religiously many years ago. Like, I'm not even entirely sure that I knew you at that point. But it was when I was holding a temporary nannying position for a family friend's children.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess technically the mother was my employer, the children were my charges. But on the weekends, the one kid would have horseback riding. And she's like a fucking champion. Like, her entire room is just covered in trophies and ribbons. And then the other kid had hockey practice. And then the third kid didn't have anything going on. We, like, basically just hung out on the main floor of the house, make snacks every few hours, chit-chat for a bit, part ways. He'd go play WoW, and I'd be watching Dexter.
Yeah.
And I just, like, went all the way through at least the first 2 seasons.
Okay, I'll see if I can hunt down, I'll see if it's in my collection. If not, I know where I can get it in town. Because Lithgow in season 4 of Dexter is just terrifying.
That sounds so good.
And then also he's going to be making a very brief 1-episode appearance in the upcoming reboot season of Dexter, which also, by the way, stars Clancy Brown, which will make me happy.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Everybody, and myself included, everybody hated the actual series ending of Dexter.
Yeah, from what I recall, people weren't happy about it.
So they finally said, okay, we're going to sit down, and this time we're going to do it right. And I'm looking at the casting for it, and I'm looking, going, wow, Lithgow's in it, and Clancy Brown's in it, and all right, I'm willing to give this a shot.
Great.
And that could be another great discussion, whether it be a Prosperity or a Popcorn. But another one would be anti-heroes versus villains. We can pick somebody. Because Dexter, depending upon your perspective, he's an anti-hero or a villain. Because he does some by his very nature, does a lot of very despicable things.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's to what we consider to be acceptable targets.
Right.
And then he also just does some despicable things out of just sheer necessity.
Yeah.
I mean, when you start murdering people...
sometimes you gotta cover your tracks, and that leads to doing some things that maybe you otherwise wouldn't have chosen to do.
Yeah.
At least to uphold your ethical serial killer code.
Yeah, like
I really want to see this 4th season now, and whatever comes out with you said it was a reboot.
Yeah.
Because
they're basically not so much rebooting it from the beginning, but they basically are like continuing on the series.
Got it.
And going, by the way, about that ending, sorry about that.
Sorry.
That didn't go well.
But yeah, I'm imagining John Lithgow like be uber duper creepy in the same way that Robin Williams is uber duper creepy anytime he plays like a serious, unhinged role.
Like 24-hour photo.
I haven't actually seen that, but I really fucking want to.
Insomnia was another one where he was just terrifying. Robin Williams said not Lithgow.
The one that I always think of is he did a cameo on well, I guess it was more than a cameo. It was like a full-fledged role. A really like well written, I think, episode of Law and Order SVU.
Oh, okay.
And I think he plays like a doctor or a surgeon, and like he all at once has still that very like soft, genuine pleasantness that you associate with Robin Williams, but then also, when the dark side comes. But it's like a justified dark side, and you're almost like rooting for him, but also,
It's something, and I think that's something when we talk about the difference between an anti-hero and a villain, you can have perfectly valid reasons for the horrible shit that you're planning on doing. I mean, we as a society have a lot of reasons that give us excuses to do the most heinous of things. But at the same time, you know, drawing the dividing line. There's a great concept on TV tropes called the moral event horizon. When a character steps past a line, and after that point in time, they're just flat out the bad guy. And then you get certain characters that you wonder what was the actual Walter White in Breaking Bad. You can pick like about 10 different moral event horizons for that character, and go. Any one of those could have been the moment when that was the official moment he turned to the dark side.
I'm pretty sure the twist is that we're the baddies.
Yeah.
To answer the question, are we the baddies?
Yes.
It's us.
It's us.
The audience are the baddies because we're choosing to watch this and we love it.
Well, there's also, if you've not seen the movie, you can get the English or the German version, but if you've not seen Funny Games.
Funny Games or Fun and Games?
Funny Games.
Funny Games.
Funny Games is a dark, like at some point, this could be our winter. Let's see if we can. Let's see who punks out on this film first. Because it is a very, very dark film about two young men who basically spend an entire evening terrorizing a family playing a very funny game. And the game is called We Bet That, I'm sure that you're betting that you will be alive in the morning, and we're betting you won't be. And then there's a moment in that film where they basically kind of put the audience on notice. Like literally have a breaking the fourth wall moment. Where they basically go, look, you're sitting here enjoying this entire show of us doing this completely horrible, terrible shit. And you really do have to take into account the fact that we as a society enjoy these sorts of things as a form of entertainment. The cathartic element of horror is a very key thing.
I'd be very interested to watch that. That reminds me very much. I'm just gonna look it up real quick.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Han, it's a Radler, so it's not incredibly alcoholic. It's just large.
I have had 2 cans of this very, very quickly. Probably 2 cans within the last hour, and I'm feeling like the tiniest bit of buzz. This is like the perfect kind of like summer, wandering around, refreshing yourself, getting a little bit of a buzz without getting wasted beer. In my humble opinion. But yeah, Funny Games, there's a German version and an American version, and the American version is pretty much a shot-for-shot recreation, using the same director, who I think used the same storyboards. The only difference is that the actors are different and that it's in English. But it is a absolutely just destructive film, and I mean that in the best possible way. It's cathartic in all the ways that you kind of need.
This is gonna kill me. Theater of the Absurd.
Theater of the Absurd. Are we going to go Grand Guignol?
No. I am desperately trying to think of this person's name. I think as soon as I scroll past it, I will know. It might be Eugene Ionesco. I know it's not Samuel Beckett. I don't think it's Arthur Asimov. It's not Albert Camus. I want to say that it's Eugene Ionesco. And it's not The Bald Soprano. Good one, though.
Freaking theater majors.
Son of a gun! Right? No, just...
Says the filmmaker.
I love both things. Okay, maybe it's not.
The title of
maybe
one of the
it is
plays,
Beckett.
The title of one of the plays that they mention there also mentioned another good one that's a great anti-hero villain film, and also a great director for it. But John Woo's The Killer and Hard Boiled are another good examples of the anti-hero and the villain.
It's just like the name of it is on the tip of my tongue. It's because there's... Is it a play without words?
And here we see Kat.
And there's 1 and 2.
I know this feeling well.
God. Oh, this is just gonna... Act without words. Okay, yes, it is Beckett. Okay. So, Act without words. Number 1. Is this the one that I am thinking of? Yes. Okay, so... you've probably come across something like this. This is what I was thinking of, tracking it back to what's called funny games?
Yes.
Or funny game, singular.
Funny games.
Games, plural. Okay, so, and then getting to the end of it, we're basically like breaking the fourth wall and addressing the audience directly. That is the feeling that I get every time I read or observe this play. It's very short, and I'm actually going to just go ahead and copy this and put this in the chat. I love that as the owner of the stream, I am allowed to put URLs in the chat, because I know that if you're just
random
person, you cannot. Which sucks, because sometimes you just send me a hyperlink, or not a hyperlink, a URL.
On the other hand, it keeps people from showing up and spamming the shit out of your chat.
Yes, so it is a good thing. But anyway, Act Without Words. The basic gist of it is it's usually a very minimalist set. The idea is that this single player is thrust into this inescapable area that is kind of desert-like. There is, a blazing sun, and, frequently gesturing that they're thirsty, and there are, a number of different objects and stage elements that they interact with, or get frustrated by, and it's almost like, what is that weird-ass, rotoscopy as fuck 1970s film where there were giant blue aliens who are playing with tiny humans, and it looks vaguely Monty Python-esque.
Fantastic World.
Maybe?
I know the film you're talking about.
But yeah, it has that kind of outside manipulator vibe to it, and not necessarily malicious, but also certainly not very considerate or compassionate. Kind of just poking you to see what you'll do, sort of thing. And throughout this very short play, the player is trying to exit stage left, exit stage right, and every time they try to exit, they get thrown back onto the stage. Yes, Fantastic Planet.
Yes.
Planet. I can't talk today.
I know you're.
What are words?
Why are we even wording and shit?
I don't. Do you even word, bruh?
I can't even word.
But yeah, it just becomes so frustrating. And at first, most of the time, audience reactions are this is funny. They are in kind of a clowning way, where you're observing somebody trying to do something, and they're failing, and it's amusing. But then it starts to get less amusing and more oh god, no, they're gonna kill themselves because they can't escape. And there are, as the name implies, there is no dialogue, there are no monologues, and you're not entirely certain as to what is the situation here. We don't know. There are boxes being lowered from up above, from somewhere that we can't see. There are, I think it's like a bucket of water, or a jug of water on a rope or something, and the player keeps trying to grab at it, and it keeps just going out of their rage, but then they'll drop a rope, but it's not long enough to form a noose. And then at the very end, just staring at the audience the fuck is wrong with you? But yeah, read this play sometime. It's very interesting, or you can watch it.
It's got to be up on YouTube.
Yeah,
or
I'm. Oh yeah, no. There's a few. I know that somewhere there is a DVD with some relatively recognizable actors doing, I want to say, somewhere between 4 and 8 of Samuel Beckett short plays. And that one in particular, I very much enjoy. We're winding down now, here to the end of the time. Blasphemy malware might be seen has been molested by that URL. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to give you some theater of the absurd. It's all I've ever wanted, is to give the world some theater of the absurd.
And so, well, that, and then you also ended up molesting Han's computer. But hello, we're villains. Should have seen that one coming.
It was an unintentional molestation. Does that help?
It just kind of happened, like it does.
Are you gonna be? Do you have work next Friday?
Actually, next week I have 3 days free, so.
We don't necessarily need to do it on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's find a day next week.
And do the thing.
Yeah. For the moment, I do have studying obligations to myself.
Uh-huh.
But I can shift my time blocks. I'm all about the time block calendar right now.
Yeah.
It has been helpful in the few days that I've been utilizing it. I don't know necessarily what we will be talking about. Maybe we could just jump in with art. I'm trying to think. I want to say we're on a popcorn episode. Yes, because we'll be on episode 18.
Yeah.
So that means we can jump back in with fun stuff.
Okay.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll talk about Theater of the Absurd. Maybe we'll talk about X Japan, which
Maybe
is
we'll talk about
a
art
false
films.
statement because we will always talk
Talk
about
about
X
X
Japan. And if anybody has any particular things that they want to hear about, you know, you can always leave a comment, hit me up in the Discord, what have you. Even though we haven't been doing shows for the last month, there have still been new subscribers.
Yeah.
So thank you, new subscribers. Stay tuned for the continuation of the Party for Prosperity and Supervillainy. I'm also tentatively going to be doing another weekly thing. More details on that once I kind of mull it over a little bit more. It's basically just going to be like I'm going to try and keep it short.
Yeah.
Because I need more short things on my channel to have in between the 1 to 2 hour discussions
And then
about very dense subject matter.
And then once I get my OBS up and running, I'll be posting up streams of me playing video games and talking about strange random stuff.
You know, we love that.
So if you want to see me playing any of the Fallout series or Destiny 2, which is now my current addiction, and hear me talking about strange random stuff, this will probably be the show for you.
Yes. And, of course, there will...
Actually, we should probably do a double one at some point in time where we're both playing video games and just talking about random stuff and then replying to the chat window.
Yeah. Next week, I'm going to try and do... I want to say How We Got Here is the name of it. It's a... just like a 2D platformer, very simple, pixely looking, very calming music. I tried streaming it, I want to say like a week or two ago, and because it's trying to run everything through Linux, and the fact that my Sony headset just does not want to connect to this. Like it doesn't recognize the Bluetooth. So I'm gonna download Windows, and I'll just do it. I'll do it the easy way for now. But I would like to figure out how to do it in Windows, or not Windows, but Linux, because there's a way to do it. It used to work. It just hasn't been working for like the last 2 or 3 weeks.
It's like me and my OBS.
Annoying.
I feel you on this.
Well, and then now, even when it's hardwired, every now and again, what is it called? The output profile. It will just totally get garbled.
Okay.
For no reason. Like there's nothing has changed, and then for whatever reason it just decides, and it just starts getting. What? It just for no reason decides,
Thank you. Hi,
right.
I'm a 12-year-old. Nice to meet you. What was the thing you just did?
Wowsy. Everybody, please have... Oh no, chat disconnected. Please wait while we
And
try
then
to disconnect. You successfully reconnect. Woohoo!
Go team.
Wait, what are you going to write down as my epitaph, Han? Ooh, that reminds me of I want to say it's Circus Contraption song, where it makes use of the word epitaph, and it's one of my favorite words, and it's one of my favorite songs. I'll find it and put it in the Discord, because I don't think I've put any Circus Contraption in there on the music channel.
No. I'll just drop some stuff on the music channel.
Thanks to Han, and also to Xerxes. Han's always putting new music finds on the music channel. Something about the URL.
It was an accidental molestation of your computer, I think, is what it was.
Here lies Cat. They only accidentally molested computers. Accidentally. May they rest in peace.
Yes.
Or in pieces, because I don't know. Maybe they left my body out for the crows. I feel like that's fair.
Dexter thing, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Rick. Thanks for stopping in. If you're still around, Han, good to see you as always. Everybody have a good weekend, and go check out some Samuel Beckett. It's fun stuff, and I'll make a post in the Discord. And or on Twitter when I am gonna be playing How We Got Here.
How we got here? Yeah, that.
It's either here or there.
Or there, right.
But it is definitely not nowhere.
Nowhere, right. Yeah.
Definitely. Okay.
Got it.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Yep. It stopped streaming.
Yeah, I know. I'm just making noises.